Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naran Chaiva Narottamam Deving Sarasating Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashtu Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nittang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 7, scheduled incarnations. Today I thought that I will go back to the verse 43. Yesterday we did 3 verses, 43, 44 and 45 together. But today I'll just go back because yesterday a point came up about different personalities who had been mentioned in the verses. Quite a few exalted personalities have been mentioned, and many devotees seems to not know about them. And since they have been mentioned, since they are such exalted personalities, therefore I thought that we would discuss about them. So today we will read the verse 43 that has been mentioned on the board, and we'll start discussing about those personalities. Vedaham Anga Paramasya Hi Yogamayam Yuyam Bhavas Cha Bhagavan Atha Daityavaryaha Patni Manoho Sa Cha Manush Cha Tad Atmajas Cha Prachina Bodhir Ribhu Anga Uta Dhruvascha Vedaham Manga Paramasya Hi Yogamayam Yuyang Bhavascha Bhagavan Atha Daityavarja Patni Manasacha Manushcha Tadatmajascha Prachina Barhish Ribhur Anga Uta Prachina Barhir Ribhur Anga Uta Dhruvascha Vedahamanga Paramasya Hi Yogamaya Yuyang Bhavascha Bhagavan Atha Daityavaryaha Patni Manosacha Manushcha Tadatmajascha Prachina Barhir Ribhuanga Uta Dhruvascha Vedahamanga Paramasya Hi Yogamaya Yuyang Bhavascha Bhagavan Atha Daityavaryaha Pat Patni Manusacha Manuscha Tadatmajascha Prachina Barhir Ribhu Anga Utadhrubascha Veda, know it, aham, myself, anga, O Narada, paramasya, of the Supreme, he, certainly, yogamayam, potency, uyuyam, yourself, bhavaha, Shiva, cha, and Bhagavan, the great demigod, atha, as also, Daitavarjaha, Prahlad Maharaj, the great devotee the great devotee of the Lord, born in the family of an atheist, Patni, Satarupa, Manuho, of Manu, Sa, he, Cha, also, Manuhu, Sayambhuva, Cha, and Tad Atmajascha, and his children like Priyavrata, Uttanapad, Devahuti, etc. Prachina Barhi, Ribhu, Anga, Uta, even, Dhruva, Cha, and. So it's up to here, this 43rd verse goes. So anyway, we will read the the entire translation, and then we'll also read the purport, although we did it yesterday. We are repeating today. O Narada, although the potencies of the Lord are unknowable and immeasurable, still, because we are all surrendered souls, we know how he acts through Yogamaya potencies. And similarly, the potencies of the Lord are also known to the all-powerful Shiva, the great king of the atheist family, namely Prahlad Maharaj, Swayambhuva Manu, his wife Satarupa, his sons and daughters like Priyavrata, Uttanapad, Akuti, Devahuti and Prashuti, Prachina Barhi, Ribhu, Anga, the father of Bena, Maharaj Dhruva, Ikshaku, Aila, Muchukunda, Maharaj Janak, Gadhi, Raghu, Ambarish, Sagar, Gaya, Nahusha, Mandhata, Alarka, Shatadhanva, Anu, Rantidev, Bhishma, Bali, Amurtaraya, Dilip, Shobhari, Utanka, Shibi, Devala, Pippalada, Saraswata, Uddhava, Parashara, Bhurishena, Vibhishan, Hanuman, Sukadev, Goswami, Arjun, Arishtashena, Vidura, Shrutadev, etc. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. All the great devotees of the Lord, as mentioned above, who flourished in the past or present, and all the devotees of the Lord who will come in the future, are aware of the different potencies of the Lord, along with the potency of His name, quality, pastimes, entourage, personality, etc. And how do they know? Certainly, it is not by mental speculation, nor by any attempt by dint of limited instruments of knowledge. But the limited instruments of knowledge, either the senses or the material instruments like microscopes or telescopes, one cannot even fully know the Lord's material potencies, which are manifested before our eyes. For example, there are many millions and billions of planets far, far beyond the scientist's calculation. But these are only the manifestations of the Lord's external energy. What can the scientist hope to know of the spiritual potency of the Lord by such material efforts? Mental speculations by adding some dozens of ifs and maybes cannot aid the advancement of knowledge. On the contrary, such mental speculations will only end in despair by dismissing the case abruptly and declaring the non-existence of God. The sane person, therefore, ceases to speculate on subjects beyond the jurisdiction of his tiny brain, and as a matter of course, he tries to learn to surrender unto the Supreme Lord, which alone can lead one to the platform of real knowledge. In the Upanishads, it is clearly said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead can never be known simply by working very hard and taxing the good brain, nor can He be known simply by mental speculation and jugglery of words. The Lord is knowable only by one who is a surrendered soul. Herein, Brahmaji, the greatest of all material living beings, acknowledges this truth. Therefore, the fruitless spoiling of energy by pursuing the path of by experimental knowledge must be given up. One should gain knowledge by surrendering unto the Lord and by acknowledging the authority of the persons mentioned herein. The Lord is unlimited, and by the grace of the Yogamaya helps the surrendered souls to know Him, helps the surrendered soul to know Him proportionately with the advance of one's surrender. So, yesterday we discussed that since there are so many exalted personalities have been mentioned here in this verse, we discuss about those personalities. Who is the first personality mentioned here? Lord Shiva. Shivascha. Vedahamanga paramasya hi yogamayang juyang bhavascha. Bhava is one name of Lord Shiva. The other day we discussed about Bhavani Bharta in the class of, in Chaitanya Charitamrita class. Who mentioned that expression? Keshav Bharati. And how did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out the mistake of that expression? Bhava is the name of Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva's wife therefore is known as Bhavani. Just as Narayan's wife is Narayani. Shiva's wife is Shivani. So in this way, Ni indicates the wife. Griha, Grihini. In this way, Ni indicates the wife. So Lord Shiva's wife is Bhavani. And Bharta means husband. So it literally means Shiva's wife's husband. Which meant that Shiva's wife had another husband other than Lord Shiva, which is a mistake. So Bhava is the name of Lord Shiva. And it is very important for us to recognize who is Lord Shiva, because we are in the place of Lord Shiva. This city, Mahakal, is the city of Mahakal, Mahakaleshwar. Mahakal is the name of Lord Shiva. He is the destroyer in the form of time. And this is the place of Ujjain, is the place of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is a Gunavatar of Krishna. How many different types of incarnations are there of Krishna? How many of you know how many types of incarnations are there? Only 3. There are? Okay, how many? 22, okay.
6 types.
6 types of incarnations. What are those 6 types?
Mahavatar, Leela Avatar, Manvantara Avatar, Purusha Avatar, Shartavash Avatar, Yuga Avatar.
Very good. So these are the 6 types of incarnations of the 6 categories of incarnations of the Lord. So out of them, the one is Gunavatars. And what happens in the mode of ignorance? In the mode of ignorance, one falls asleep. So wake him up. Stand up. Dadi paro. So, Gunavatar, there are 3 different modes, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead takes care of those 3 modes. Those 3 modes are mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. In which incarnation the Lord takes care of the mode of goodness? Vishnu. In which incarnation he takes care of mode of passion? Brahma. In which incarnation he takes care of the mode of ignorance? Lord Shiva. These are the 3 controllers of 3 different modes. What are the activities of different modes? What happens? What is the activity in the mode of goodness? Maintenance. What is the activity in the mode of passion? Creation. What is the activity in the mode of ignorance? Annihilation or destruction. So, in the mode of passion, Brahma creates. In the mode of goodness, Vishnu maintains. And in the mode of ignorance, the Lord Shiva destroys. So, all 3 are actually the Gunavatas, are the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of God. All 3 are the incarnations of the Lord. Incarnation means what? Incarnation means the Lord Himself. You remember there are 2 types of expansions of the Lord? 2 types of expansions of the Lord. What are those 2 types of expansions? Ganganarayan? Shangsha and Bhinangsha. The Shangsha incarnation or Shangsha expansions are the Lord expands Himself as He is. So like it is like from 1 He becomes 2, becomes 4, He expands. In this way He expands in innumerable forms. But all those expansions has the same potency of the Lord. Which verse describes that in Brahma Samhita? Very good. Who said Diparchireva? Did you say it? Okay. Recite the verse. Only knew the first line. Who knows that verse? Okay, Malini. Very good. So Deeparchireva hi dashantaram apupeta. The incarnations of the Lord are Swangsha Vistar, the expansion in His own form, has been described in this way, just as one lamp lights many other lamps. Now when the lamps are lit, then what happens? After the lamp is lit, it gives out the same amount of light and heat as the first lamp that lit it. Is there any difference between the first lamp that lit and The 10th lamp? No. The same lamp. But the first lamp is the lamp that lit the other lamps. Isn't it a very nice example of the incarnations of the Lord? Dipar chireva hidasantarama pupetya. Just as one lamp lights many other lamps, similarly, the Lord expands Himself into many other forms. Many other forms that are non-different from Himself. They have the same potency. So, but there are 6 different categories. And one category that we are discussing here is Gunavatar. The guna, the modes of the material nature are controlled. So, is there any difference between Lord Shiva and Sri Krishna? Not really. But there is a little difference also. That also has been explained in Brahma Samhita. Which verse? Raise your hand. Let's see who knows. Okay, তুমি বলো বিজয়ানন্দ। আমি ভেবেছিলাম তুমি যদি বলতে পারতে তাহলে তোমাকে বসতে বলতাম। If you could say, then I would have told you to. Which verse of Brahma Samhita describes the difference between Lord Shiva and Krishna, Govinda? Okay, who else? Sadhan Siddhi? Which verse? You raised your hand. Why did you do that? ভাষটা মনে করতে পারছো না, তাহলে হাত তুলেছিলে কেন? Okay, who knows? Who else raised his hand? Huh? Okay. Nitai Chandra? Very good. Okay. How many of you know this verse? Okay, Vijayananda.
Iram jata dodi vikara vishesha yoga sanjayati tata tapasti jas sambhutampi tata samvati karja govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami.
Very good. Thank you. Now you can sit down. But don't fall asleep again. Kshirang jatha dodhi vikara vishesha yogat. Kshirang means sajatra kshirabdhi sravati surabhi parcha. Kshira means milk. Kshirang jatha. Jatha means just like, just as. Kshirang jatha dodhi vikara vishesha yogat. Vikar, vishesha yogat. By some special, yogat means adding, by contact, by addition of something very special. What is that special thing? Just as milk in contact with acid becomes yogurt. Isn't it? Milk becomes yogurt. Is there any difference between milk and yogurt? So, Raghav Pandit is shaking his head. Let's see what is the difference.
The qualities are different.
Quality is different. Yes.
Yogurt is very good for particular disease or something. Milk and take yogurt.
Okay. Milk and yogurt is actually the same. Milk became yogurt. A pot of milk became yogurt. The same milk that became yogurt. In one way, there is no difference. But there is some difference also. The difference is that milk can become yogurt, but yogurt cannot become milk. And also, as Raghav Pandit said, it tastes different. Its purpose is different. And like milk may, actually Prabhupada mentions about that also, that milk may cause indigestion. But if you take yogurt, then the indigestion will become cured. So anyway, it's actually the analogies. Analogies should be accepted only in certain context. Analogy should not be taken as a whole. Like, it's not that example of milk and yogurt is given here, that means Vishnu is milk and Shiva is yogurt. Is it? No, it's just an example is given, just as yatha vikara vishesha yogat. So, similarly, Lord Shiva, Vishnu, samupaiti karjats, in order to perform some special purpose, some special mission, some special objective, Vishnu, sambhutamupi samupaiti karjat. Sambhutamupi, he becomes Shambhu, Lord Shiva. And this karjat has been described in many ways. One karja is to cause the annihilation, to destroy. Vishnu maintains, and as Lord Shiva, he destroys. In order to cause destruction, destruction is necessary. Like, especially when you go to America, we see how destruction sometimes is necessary. Especially in big cities like New York. What is happening always? They're breaking one building to build another building. Prabhupada used to say that this is a Western culture. They build something, then they keep it for some time, and then they become tired of it. Okay, break it, bring another, and something new. So Prabhupada says fickle-mindedness. Fickle-minded. They're not steady. Whereas in Sattva-gun, what happens? That's actually the indication of mode of passion. In the mode of passion, one becomes very fickle. He's not satisfied with one thing. Whereas in the mode of goodness, it remains. Mode of goodness is steady. Like we see in India, there are so many cities. Ujjain is one of them, but in Ujjain, the old architecture is not so prominent. But when you go to cities like Varanasi, we see there are buildings so old, still existing. Nobody knows how old they are. In places like even Delhi, we see so many old buildings. There is one castle in Delhi which is considered to be the Pandavas' castle. Old fort. That means if it belonged to the Pandavas, that means it's 5,000 years old. What to speak of 5,000 years old? In America, there is nothing more than 500. Nothing even 500 years old. There's hardly anything 50 years old. In America, if a building is 20 years old, they say it's an old building. Whereas in India, there are buildings that are hundreds of years old. What does it indicate? That India is in the mode of goodness, whereas America is in the mode of passion. Europe is not so bad. In Europe, at least, there are some old buildings, like a few hundred years old. They have retained it. But there is a saying between the difference between English and French. English stuck to their traditions, whereas the French are always changing. Like in England, the Queen's Guards, they have the same uniform, the same time, not wearing the same uniform. But the style of the uniform is the same for hundreds of years. They have the typical uniform, red coat, and they have a high hat made of some sort of fur. And whereas in France, they had been changing their uniforms, Royal Guards uniforms, every few months. That shows that at least in England they're relatively more in goodness than the French people. So this is how the modes actually affect the mentality and activities of the people. So Lord Shiva actually is in charge of the mode of ignorance, and this mode is specifically meant for destruction. So Lord Shiva destroys. In order to destroy Krishna, Govinda transforms himself into Lord Shiva. Another descriptions have been given in Brahma Samhita, at the beginning of 5th chapter of Brahma Samhita, that how Mahavishnu's glance is actually Shambhu. Mahavishnu, how does the material creation become manifest? Material creation becomes manifest due to the glance of Mahavishnu to Maya. Mahavishnu glances towards Maya, and as a result of that, the material nature becomes kubdha, agitated. And that agitation causes the manifestation of the material nature. Now Brahma Samhita is describing that this glance of Mahavishnu is actually Shambhu. Jyotir. We can see the expression also, Jyotirlinga. Jyotirlinga, the Lord Shiva abode, or Lord Shiva has been described as Jyotirlinga. Lord Shiva's form has been described as Jyotirlinga. Jyoti means light. So this light is what? Mahavishnu's glance. And what is this glance causing? It's causing the creation. How is the creation caused? The material nature becoming manifest again because of the projection of living entities, the jivas in the material nature. So these jivas are projected into the material nature through the glance of Mahavishnu. This glance of Mahavishnu is Lord Shiva. So it is through Lord Shiva that the living entities have come to this material nature. Therefore, Lord Shiva is identified or symbolized as Lingam, Jyotirlingam, through which, the medium through which the living entities come in the womb of the material nature. So, in simple words, we can say that we have came to the material nature through Lord Shiva. Now, if we want to go back to the spiritual sky, how will you have to go back? Don't you have to go back the same way? In a way. And that's why you also see Lord Shiva is guarding the gate of Vaikuntha. Lord Shiva guards the gate of Vaikuntha. That means, unless someone is qualified, Lord Shiva will not let him go in there. He will say, come on, where are you going? No, you are not qualified, go back. And if you try to force your way, then what will Lord Shiva do? He has a trident in his hand. And we also see Lord Shiva is guarding also the Rasa Mandali as as Gopeshwar Shiva. Rasamandali, the Rasa dance, Krishna's Rasa dance, not everybody can enter there. So if you want to enter there, then you have to have the permission of Lord Shiva. So that is Lord Shiva. He is Krishna himself. He has manifested himself as Lord Shiva in order to deal with the material nature. Therefore, when Brahma is describing among the personalities who knows about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his name, form, qualities, pastimes, entourage, attributes, Lord Shiva is the foremost. Then after Lord Shiva, who is mentioned? After Lord Shiva, Daityavarjaha. Who is this Daityavarjaha? Daitya means demon. And Varja means? Varja means, who knows? Okay. Best among the Daityas. So who is the best among the Daityas? Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj was a great devotee of the Lord. How did Prahlad Maharaj become a devotee? Prahlad Maharaj became a devotee by coming in contact with Narad Muni when he was in the womb of his mother. Like yesterday, I was at the end of the class, I was mentioning about the inconceivable nature of the descriptions of Srimad Bhagavatam. Like here we are seeing that Brahma is instructing Narad Muni about the greatness of Krishna. And in course he is mentioning about Prahlad, who actually became a devotee of the Lord by the mercy of Narad Muni, due to Narad Muni's instructions. So it's inconceivable. We can't figure out how it's possible. There are ways to conceive also, because we have, as we mentioned, that things happen time and time again. Not only in every day of Brahma, but in every few minutes of Brahma's life. Like the 4 yugas, things are repeating. In every Satyuga, there is a Hiranyakashipu, and there is Prahlad, his son, and then Hiranyakashipu persecutes his son, Prahlad, and Nrsingadev comes and kills him. So it happens. So there is we cannot really see things from our limited perspective. We cannot understand things with our limited perspective. Therefore, the Lord has been described as unknowable and immeasurable in this verse. The Supreme Personality of God is unknowable. We cannot know Him. And we cannot measure Him. We are so tiny. Just as can a drop measure the ocean? No. So that is how inconceivable the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. Therefore, the only way that has been prescribed, or the only way that is possible to know the Lord, the only way we can possibly get to know the Lord is surrender, is devotion, which begins with surrender, and then the Lord can manifest Himself in front of our limited sense perceptions. So Prahlad is a great devotee who was born in a demoniac family. His father was such a terrible demon, so powerful that he actually defeated the demigods. Demigods were afraid of him. They used to tremble with fear just by hearing his name. And what to speak of when they saw that there is an expression of anger in his eyebrows. Bhrukuti Kutila. Bhrukuti, when it when he twisted his eyebrows, expressing his anger, and just as Sitaram does sometimes. Then the demigods become so afraid that they start to shake, tremble with fear. So, so that demon, who was an enemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when he found out that his own son, Prahlad, became a devotee of the Lord, he decided to kill Prahlad. And he tried to kill him in so many ways, but nothing happened to his son. When Krishna protects, can anyone harm his devotees? When Krishna protects, nobody can harm his devotees. That's how merciful Krishna is. Even the greatest demon tried to kill Prahlad in so many ways. First thing he did is ordered his bodyguards that kill this boy. Now his bodyguards were not just ordinary soldiers. His bodyguards were so powerful that they could fight with the demigods and defeat them. So their weapons must have been so advanced, so powerful. And they tried to kill Prahlad, but nothing happened to Prahlad. They struck him with their swords and spears, but swords and spears just broke into pieces. And they were surprised. They thought this boy must have some mystic power. Then Hiranyakashipu said, okay, he may have some mystic power, so throw him in the pit of the snakes. And those snakes were not just ordinary cobras or king cobras. Those snakes are celestial snakes. Hiranyakashipu was not dealing with just ordinary snakes. He was dealing with the celestial snakes because he is on a much higher plane that he was acting on. The snakes with not only 5 heads or 10 heads, many, many heads. So their sacks must have been filled with gallons of venoms. And they're biting Prahlad. Nothing happened to Prahlad. And finally the snakes started to cry, all those snakes. O Lord Hiranyakashipu, our fangs are broken and our sacks are empty. Our sacks of poison are empty and we are completely exhausted. We have been biting him for so many hours and nothing happened to him. Please do something. So this is how every attack becomes foiled when the Lord gives protection. Then Prahlad was taken to be thrown from the top of a mountain. Nothing happened to Prahlad. Then a fire was made with mountainous logs and Prahlad was thrown in that fire. Nothing happened. Then finally Hiranyakashipu decided that throw him in the water, in the ocean, and bury him with mountain peaks and big, big boulders. So they threw Prahlad and then they started to throw all these boulders so that to bury him under the ocean. Nothing happened to Prahlad. Prahlad just came out. He just pushed aside those big, big boulders and came out. And Hiranyakashipu asked, what's the matter? Where did you get this power? Then he said, wherever everyone gets this power from, I'm getting this power from him. He's the one who's protecting me. You also got the power from him actually. So he asked, who is that? That's Hari. What? Hiranyakashipu was so angry. And then he asked, where is your Hari? Prahlad said, he is everywhere. Is he there in this pillar? He said, yes. And Hiranyakashipu just with one punch, he broke that massive stone pillar. And as the pillar was crumbling, from within the pillar, a very strange form appeared. He couldn't first figure out what it was, and then he saw a form that has the head of a lion and the body of a man. And this personality was roaring thunderously. And Hiranyakashipu immediately pulled out his sword and tried to attack. He was a very skilled warrior. As I mentioned, like he defeated the demigods. So powerful. But this personality was amazing. Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu just couldn't deal with him. But he fought for a long, long time. And then finally, the Lord just picked him up, placed him on his lap. And just like a child kills a wasp with his nail, the Lord, Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bhringam. The body of Hiranyakashipu, that even thunder couldn't do anything. The thunder would, Indra would strike Hiranyakashipu with thunder and just that is how powerful he was. But the Lord just picked him up and with his nail, Tabakara Kamala Vare, Nakham Adbhuta Shringam. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bhringam. Bhringa means a bee or a wasp. Wasp body is very soft. You can just, with your nail you can just cut it open. And that's what he did. But the Lord, even after killing Hiranyakashipu, he was so angry that he was roaring. And no one was able to approach him. Everyone was afraid. He was so angry. Brahma, Shiva, even Lakshmi Devi was afraid to go near him. But Brahma pushed Prahlad. And Prahlad knew that he is the personality who has been protecting me all the time. So even if he is angry, he is not angry with me. So Prahlad just went to him, and seeing Prahlad, the Lord's anger subsided. He picked him up with affection, placed him on his lap. So that is how wonderful the Lord is, and that's how wonderful his devotees are. So after Prahlad, Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa. Who have been mentioned after Prahlad? Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa. They are also knowers of the Lord and his inconceivable potency. Manu, there are, how many Manus are there? There are 14 Manus in a day of Brahma. Who is the first Manu? The first Manu is called Swayambhuva Manu. The Sanskrit names often are related to the father. Swayambhu is the name of Brahma. And the Manu that came from Brahma is known as Swayambhuva Manu. Brahma, the Manu who is the son of Swayambhu, who appeared from Swayambhu. Swayambhu, Swayambhu, one who is by himself. Generally, living entities need a father and mother. But that was not the case with Brahma. He just appeared without any father and mother. Swayambhu. So the Swayambhu's son is Swayambhuva. Brahma had a few sons. The first four are the four Kumaras. Then he generated 10 other sons from his mind, who are known as Brahma's Manasaputra. From his mind, from Brahma's mind, they appeared. So, they are the Prajapatis, 9 Prajapatis and Narad Muni. Those 9 Prajapatis are Pulasta, Pulaha, Atri, Angira, Modichi, Vashishta, Dakhya. And the youngest one is Narad. So these are the Prajapatis. And then Brahma generated, he produced one boy and one girl. From his right hand side came out Manu, Swayambhuva Manu, and from his left hand side came out Shatarupa. And Manu is the origin of mankind. Manu is the father of mankind. Therefore, Manu's son, because we are Manu's sons, therefore we are known as Manavas or Manushyas. So we see that in all different languages, mankind is identified in this way. Has something to do with M-A-N, man. Do you see the link? Man and Manu, Manu and Manava, Manu and Manushyas. So this is how that Swayambhuva Manu is the first man, and his wife is Shatarupa. So Manu and Shatarupa had 2 sons and 3 daughters. And those 2 sons are Priyavrata and Uttanapad, and 3 daughters are Akuti, Prashuti and Devahuti. Akuti, second one is Devahuti and Prashuti. So in this way, it has been pointed out that Manu and his children, Manu and Shatarupa and their children also knew the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not only his sons knew about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even his daughters. And his daughters are very, very exalted personalities. The first daughter, Akuti, was given to, I forgot, Ruchik Muni, and he gave her Manu, Ruchi. So Ruchi and Manu gave Akuti to Ruchi on one condition, that her son would be given to him. So although he had 2 sons, generally sometimes such condition is made when the father didn't have a son, and the daughter is given in marriage and with the condition that her first son should be given to me. But although he had 2 sons, Priyavrata and Uttanapad, but he wanted the son of Akuti to be given to him. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained why. Because Swayambhuva Manu knew that the Supreme Personality of Godhead would appear as the son of Akuti. Therefore he wanted to have that son as his son. He wanted to have the Lord as his son. And that is Yajna. His name is Yajna. And Devahuti, as you know, was given to Kardama Muni, and his son also was an incarnation of the Lord, Kapil Muni, Kapil Dev. And Prashuti was given to Daksha. And Prashuti had many daughters, and the youngest one is Sati, who was married to Lord Shiva. And Priyavrata and his son is, and his brother Uttanapad. Priyavrata, as you all know, who was Priyavrata's? Priyavrata is, Priyavrata has actually 10 sons. Priyavrata was married to Barhishmati and he had 10 sons, and Uttanapad had 2 wives, and from these 2 wives he had 2 sons. Who are those 2 wives of Uttanapad? No, his wives are Suniti and Suruchi. Suniti's son was Dhruva and Suruchi's son was Uttam. And you know what happened? Like Dhruva was denied the right to sit on his father's lap by his stepmother, Suniti, who was very dear to his father, and therefore insulted Dhruva at the age of 6. He left home, went to the forest, performed great austerities. Not that he was performing great austerities, he was searching for the Lord. His mother said that you just take shelter of Hari, Hari can fulfill everybody's desire. And Dhruva asked, where can I find Hari? Where is Hari? Where can I find him? He said, when people want to search for Hari, they go to the forest. So just as a mother pacified the little child, but Dhruva was so determined that when his mother told that Hari can be found in the forest, he just left home and went to the forest. And he didn't have any knowledge who is Hari, so he started to look for Hari everywhere. Whoever he saw, he started asking, are you Hari? He saw a lion. In the forest, of course, they are all full of animals, ferocious animals. In the forest, there are no man. So he was actually looking at the elephants, he asked the bears, he asked the snakes, he asked the deers, he asked the peacocks, he asked the crocodiles. And so in this way he was searching for Hari. Completely fearless. And because he was so earnest in his search that even those wild animals did not do anything to him. Lord sitting in the heart of every living entity guides him. And they did not harm Dhruva Maharaj. Then Narad Muni came, and Narad Muni told him how to meditate upon the Lord. He gave him the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And Dhruva started to meditate upon the Lord, chanting that mantra. And the effect of the mantra was taking him to higher and higher planes. And then finally the Lord came and bestowed His mercy upon Dhruva. Dhruva got the place, position, which was far superior to anyone, the abode of the Lord. And also Dhruva Maharaj's disappearance from the planet also is very, very beautiful. When the time came for Dhruva Maharaj to leave his body, Dhruva Maharaj actually took Banaprast. He retired from his kingdom and he was in Badarik Ashram, associating with the saintly personalities high up in the Himalayas. And then one day a chariot came from Vaikuntha. And Vishnu Dutas came and told Dhruva Maharaj, so the Lord has sent the chariot for you. So Dhruva Maharaj said, oh, I see. Thank you very much for bestowing your mercy upon me. And he went to Bath. He took leave from all the saintly personalities there. Then he circumambulated the chariot 3 times. And then when he was about to climb onto the chariot, he found that someone is standing there, kneeling in front of him with his hands folded in respect. Dhruva asked, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm death personified. I'm death." So Dhruva asked, "So what do you want?" He said, "Please bestow your mercy upon me." So then Dhruva Maharaj placed his feet on the head of death and climbed onto the chariot. So this is how death treats a devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord. Yes, death may approach a devotee, death may come to a devotee, but how? He'll come with folded hands, kneeling in front of him, begging for his mercy. Please bestow your mercy upon me. And what do the devotee do? The merciful devotee places his lotus feet on the head of death. That is the wonderful advantage of being a devotee of the Lord. Well, there are 43 personalities mentioned in this verse, in these 3 verses. I thought I'll cover 16, but today I covered only up to 4. So, do you want to listen to this, about these personalities? Okay, then tomorrow we'll continue. The ones that I decided to do today, they're in serial order. The King Prachina Barhi, then Ribhu, Anga, Dhruva Maharaj, Ikshaku, Oila, then Muchukunda, Janak Raj, Maharaj Janak, Gadhi, Raghu, and Ambarish. So these are the 16 personalities I thought of discussing. Anyway, tomorrow I'll go quickly. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any question or comment? Yeah.
Is there any mention anywhere about the previous life of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj?
Yeah. There is a mention in Hari Bhakti Vilas, Sanatana Goswami mentioned, not, I don't know about Dhruva Maharaj, but Prahlad Maharaj is mentioned by Sanatana Goswami. And we have Bhagavatam Gita quoting from some Puranas. Not Briha, I'm sorry, Hari Bhakti Vilas. He mentioned about that. Okay. Yes, Sitaram?
We were talking the other day about women's lib, but here we see how women's lib is defeated because both man and woman came out of the body of Brahma. So the original woman, Sadarupa, came out of the body of Brahman. So man is not actually of woman born.
Oh, that's how they want their superiority.
Man himself is not of woman born. Man is born of man, out of Brahman.
Oh yeah, good.
So we can defeat them very easily, saying actually we didn't come from.
And even the original man Brahma came from the neighbor of the Lord. Anyway, we are not in such unhealthy competition. We respect them, yes, we respect them as mothers, and so in Krishna consciousness, everything is perfectly harmonized. Yes, Ramesh?
Isn't it our demigods are worshipped in their original forms, but Lord Shiva normally is in this is worshipped in the form of Jyotirlinga, not in the form of Lord Shiva and Parvati.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, this indicates that Lord Shiva's purpose has been very clearly indicated. That he is actually the transformation of the Lord to accomplish this very special purpose of of creation or manifesting the material nature. Therefore, the material nature is Durga or Mahamaya, and Lord Shiva is her husband. The material nature is the mother, and Lord Shiva is the original father. Like when Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Tashang Brahma Mahajjonir Ahang Vija Pradaprita, he's actually indicating Lord Shiva. Because Krishna or Vishnu directly doesn't deal with the material nature. That's why he transforms himself into Lord Shiva, because material nature is external potency. So he cannot directly deal with the material nature. Because it's external potency, he cannot or doesn't deal directly with it. He deals with the material nature, transforming himself into Lord Shiva. Yes, yeah.
In whatever translation, Bhagavan was translated the great demigod.
Yeah.
Normally, Bhagavan is translated the Supreme Personality of God.
Right,
So,
right.
what is this?
Yeah, sometimes some great personalities are identified as Bhagavan. Like Lord Shiva is identified as Bhagavan. But Prabhupada is making the point that this address of Bhagavan, out of respect, does not indicate the supreme personality of Godhead. Sometimes, as you like, and there it indicates as a great demigod, as Bhagavan. Like that expression of Bhagavan indicates a great demigod or a great personality, not the supreme personality. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Bali Maharaj, he offered everything, even himself also, to Lord. But why Prahlad Maharaj is based among the temples?
Well, because the way Prahlad Maharaj received the mercy of the Lord. You see, Bali Maharaj, although he offered everything to the Lord, but his activities were not in compliance with the Lord's law and order situation, law and order arrangement. He made the arrangement, the demigods will take control of the thing, but Bali's mood was, why they will be enjoying? We come from the same family. Why they will have the heavenly planets and we'll be rotting in hell? So he said, he took over. So that was in defiance to the Lord's arrangement. Therefore the Lord came to take away everything from him. Whereas Prahlad never did that. Prahlad just accepted. So Bali is also a Mahajan, a great devotee, but not in the same category as Prahlad.
Maharaj, it is mentioned that adharma.
It is something like, I'll just give an example of what it is. Like, say for example, somebody may be submissive to me in the context of Ujjain temple, but doesn't accept the authority of the authority structure of the temple. Then you have seen how I deal with them. If you accept me, if you accept my authority, you have to accept the authority structure that I have created. If you don't accept the authority structure, that means you are not really accepting my authority. So Bali Maharaj's situation was something like that. He was submissive to Krishna, but he was defiant to the demigods who are arranged by the Lord himself. Yeah.
So it is mentioned that Adharma and Vrisha are born from Brahma, from the back of Brahma. So they were actually brother and sister. But they married and they gave birth to some, I don't remember, but something like Kali or something.
Kali is his great grandson.
Okay.
And their line is like that, brother and sister getting married. Like then there, like I forgot also the line, like Adharma and Mrisha, gave birth to anger and envy. And anger and they got married. Then anger and envy gave birth to Kali.
So, because they were born of Brahma, they were considered brother and sister. But we see also in Manu and Shatarupa, they were also like born from Brahma. So why does the same not apply in this case?
Yeah, that is, you see, that's why it has been pointed out actually. I don't know whether in that, although when the Manu and Shatarupa's appearance has been described, it has been pointed out that there is no description of whether they are Brahma's children or not, whether they consider to Brahma's children.
Because they just said that they came from the hand of...
The side came from Brahma's body, but that time, you see, like the creation had to was going on in some way, like from the mind, like everyone was actually coming from Brahma. So he was the original personality, so they had to be. But with them, the system didn't become that brother and sister will always get married, as in case of Adharma and Mrisha. It became, that is their standard. Whereas that's not the case with Manu and Shatarupa. Their offspring, they multiplied. Like, as we said, like their first offsprings were the Priyavrata and Uttanapad, and Akuti, Prashuti and Devahuti. So there are 3 daughters were given in marriage to different great personalities, exalted personalities.
In the pastime of Lord Varadev, and the Prabhupada mentions that in the purport that Lord Vara actually appeared in the Swayambhuva Manu. Like this is Vaivasvat Manu. So doesn't Lord Varadev appear every Chaturyuga?
Well, there actually Bhagavatam describes about 2 Varahas, Shweta Varaha and Rakta Varaha. But it's, like not that all the incarnations come on every day or every Chaturyuga, but some do come. And like for example, Yugavatars come, but not the Varahadev is not a Yugavatar, he is a Leelavatar. So when the Lord performs his Leela, then that particular Leela demands or needs Varahadev's appearance. Yeah.
Why Lord come to the rescue of Lord so late? And Lord himself accepted.
Yeah, you see, we deal with 24 hours a day, but the Lord deals with eternity. Right? So sometimes it takes time. But he comes. He's coming because he's dealing with such a huge concept of time. For us it may be 24 hours, why did it take so long? But for him, you see, like he is dealing with such a huge concept of time, it takes some time. Another thing is that if he came, then the pastimes wouldn't have taken place the way. The excitement would have been lost. Isn't it? If there was no danger, no threat, no difficulty, then the rescue operation doesn't really have so much relevance. Right? But if the situation is difficult and they're rescued, then everybody says, wow. Like for example, if somebody is just about to sleep and you catch him, right? While he was about to fall. It's nice that you saved him from the fall, but no one takes it that amazingly, that excitedly. But if somebody is falling from 10th story, top of the 10th-story building, and then Batman comes and catches him, that becomes a newspaper. That makes it to the front page of the newspaper. Why? Because the danger involved falling from 10th floor is much more exciting, and the rescuing also becomes equally exciting.
Maharaj, I'm just thinking of Krishna Archan's question here in terms of Satarupa and Swayambhuva, and the title of this chapter is Specific Incarnations for Specific Purposes.
Scheduled incarnations.
Scheduled in a specific purpose. So the specific purpose of Brahma was to procreate, to fulfill a purpose. So there would be very little reason for the birth of Swayambhuva and Satarupa if their purpose in procreation and becoming part of his fulfillment was not part of their mission. But Brahma became very happy that they accepted their duty, whereas he was very angry that the four Kumaras did not accept their duty or accepted their position.
Now his question was a little different. His question was that from back of Brahma's body, from Brahma's back, Adharma and Mrisha appeared. So sin, Adharma and sin appeared, right? So they got married, and they gave birth to a son and a daughter, and that son and daughter got married. Then they gave birth to a son and daughter, they got married, and so forth. Now his point is, we know that is inappropriate, it's sinful, that arrangement. But we also see that Manu and Satarupa also came from Brahma's body, therefore they can be considered as brothers and sisters, brother and sister. And they got married and they had procreated. Then why this is accepted? So that was the thing, that was a consideration, and that's why the answer was, initially, since there was nobody, they had to come from Brahma himself, but with them it didn't become a standard procedure that brothers and sisters will get married. Right? They may have, and therefore actually Bhagavatam explains that although they came from Brahma's body, but it is not clear whether they're considered to be Brahma's children. Because, they came from the body of Brahma, but they are not actually considered to be the offsprings of Brahma.
I'm wondering if this is maybe the beginning of the Adam and Eve myth, that Eve came from the rib of Adam.
There must be some
connection.
Naturally. Originally, as I was pointing out, Manu's children, mankind.
Yeah.
Do you see the link? Even in English. Of course, French is different. But German, it's man. And so we can see the link, how we are relating to Manu. Okay, thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gol Premanande Hari